Hi everyone, it's Jessica here and welcome back to another crafty tutorial. Today's video is not about making cards, but I will be sharing different swatches of shimmery ink pads with you. I have done a couple of ink swatches before, for example the Versamagic ink line. I absolutely love them and it's probably one of my go-to inks. And I think when I did swatches for different inks, especially for new inks, it really helps me in terms of organizing and getting to know my inks better. Today's swatches will include 3 different types of shimmery ink pads. The first one is Brilliance, and the second one is Delicata, and the third one is Encore. I've always had questions about the differences between these 3 types of inks, so I thought while I'm organizing my craft room, I would also swatch them so I can know the different properties and the different traits for all of them. I'm going to start with the Brilliance ink line first. This is probably the one that I'm most familiar with because I've been using it since years and years ago. I just didn't have that many colors, and I didn't even know there's differences within this Brilliance ink line. So here are the colors all swatched out. Let's kind of take a look at all of them individually. So here I have Brilliance Rocket Red. This is actually one of the colors that don't have shimmer at all. And then we have Brilliance Rocket Red Gold, which is very different even though the name is very similar. This one has gold shimmer in it and I think it's really cool. Then we have Orchid. Orchid is probably one of the most popular ink colors in the Brilliance ink line. It's a really pretty pink that has a purplish tone to it. And of course you have really great shimmer. I also like to mention the card swatches with the P in parentheses. That means that it's from the Pearlescent group, and those for sure will have shimmer in them. But I found that the shimmery level kind of depends on each individual color. Next up we have Sunflower Yellow, which is again a color without any shimmer. And then we have Galaxy Gold, very shimmery gold color. For Pearlescent Green, this one obviously has some shimmer in it. And then for Gamma Green, this one is the one without shimmer at all. Next we have Thyme. This one has subtle shimmer in it. And for Pearlescent Ivy, you can kind of barely see it, but it is still shimmery. And then for Pearlescent Jade, another favorite color, very shimmery color. Pearlescent Sky Blue, it's more like a violet kind of blue. I really like it. And then we have Pearlescent Purple. This one also has really great shimmer. Mediterranean Blue is actually a color without any shimmer at all. And then we have Crimson, which I think it's more purple than crimson actually. For a Crimson Copper, I want to mention that even though it's not in the Pearlescent family, if it has a metallic name, then usually it will have shimmery properties. That's the same with Cosmic Copper. For a Pearlescent Rust, it's a orangey red, and this one has shimmer in it. Then we have Coffee Bean. Coffee Bean is another one without any shimmer in the Brilliance family. For Pearlescent Chocolate, this one, even though it's pearlescent, you can kind of barely see the shimmer. For Platinum Planet, I think that's a really cool color. For a Starlight Silver, we can also see really great shimmer here. Starlight Black, really interesting color, also very shimmery. Lightning Black is pretty cool. Lightning Black actually has gold shimmer in it. It kind of reminds me of that Rocket Red Gold from earlier in the beginning of the swatch. They both have the goldish undertone, and this black has kind of a green tint as well. Very lastly, we have Graphite Black, and that one is without shimmer. So after swatching all of the Brilliance ink colors, I had a major discovery. I found out that there's a couple of inks that actually don't have shimmer in them, and I realized they actually complement really well in terms of the Versamagic ink line. What I mean is because the Versamagic ink line usually have the more muted tones. They have really great pastel colors, but they're kind of missing some of the more traditional colors, the very bright red, yellow, green, blue. I know in the beginning when I got all of the Versamagic colors, I actually was missing like the bright yellow, for example, and I had to get out of my way and buy it separately. Now, knowing that they actually have a really great option in the Brilliance ink line, I would really recommend to people who are trying to get a full range of colors and they still want the same kind of dewdrop shaped and they want the same kind of spongy ink pad. The reason why I say this is a major discovery is because there are many other ink cubes, like the small ink cubes, but they are dye ink. I personally don't like dye inks as much. I prefer pigment inks. Here you can see there's another ink line from the Tsukineko brand, and this one is the Memento. Mementos are dye inks, and they come with a harder felt ink pad, not these spongy foam ones. So it really depends on your preference, but I think the Brilliance non-sparkly ink pads, those are actually really great options if you want to have like a full range of dewdrop foamy ink pads. Then I went ahead and swatched all of the Delicata inks. This is the second shimmery ink pads that we'll be talking about today. Delicata doesn't have as many colors compared to the Brilliance line, but it has some really solid shimmery ink pads. I find that the shimmer property is pretty even across all of the colors inside this line as well. You don't have ones that are really shimmery and the other ones are not shimmery at all. So all of them have like a pretty equal range of shimmer. When I compare the colors between the two ink lines, Brilliance and Delicata, I also noticed that there's not a lot of overlap between the two lines, which is a good thing because if you're really into shimmer ink pads, then you would have more options. Let's take a look at the different swatches here. So first we have the red ones, and again the Brilliance one is non-sparkly, but the Delicata one is. So I wouldn't say they're actually overlapping because one is shimmery and the other one is not. And then if we look at the pink colors, they're actually quite different as well. All of them are different shades of pink, so no overlap here. Then for the gold, these two actually, I think they have very similar performance, both very sparkly. So I would say you can pick one of them if you're just trying to get as many colors as possible. Then we have the greens. The greens, quite different shades. A little similar between the Thyme and the emerald green, but I would still consider them as different shades. And then for the blue one, again, Mediterranean blue is the one without any shimmer, while sapphire blue is the one with shimmer, so I wouldn't say they are overlapping again. Then we have Platinum Planet and also Champagne. These two I think are actually quite different. One has a warmer tone, the other one is a cooler tone. Starlight Silver and Silvery Shimmer are pretty similar. They're both like the very typical kind of silverish color. There's a lot of different copper shades. I think they're all quite different though, so I don't see a lot of overlap here. And then for Pearlescent Chocolate and Dark Brown, they're pretty similar, and both of them are not very sparkly. So it really depends if you want the colors. Very lastly, we have Graphite Black and Black Shimmer. Again, one is non-shimmery at all, and the other one is, so I would say no overlap here. So hopefully that gave you like a better idea in terms of the colors being offered between the two different lines. And then finally we will be moving on to the third line of inks. Those are the Encore Inks. Unfortunately, from what I know, I believe they are being discontinued in the North American market, so I'm not sure if there is still a lot of places where you can get them, but I thought I would just include like a couple colors to show you kind of the properties for Encore. Now, when it comes to describing the shimmeriness in Encore inks, I wouldn't actually say that they're shimmery. I would say that they're more metallic. The reason why is because for the previous two ink lines, Brilliance and Delicata, you can kind of see the shimmery particles inside the inks when you stamp them. But then for Encore, you have kind of like a more smooth finish, and I think it reminds me more of like the metallic shine. I also noticed that there's less water in the ink, so I feel like it helps when you're trying to get those really fine line details, kind of like the borderline in the stamp. There's like a very thin fine line, and if you have a really juicy ink pad, sometimes it will just kind of cover up the fine lines. But for Encore inks, I think they're actually really decent when it comes to presenting those details. For the final comparison, I included gold and bronze because those are the two colors that are being shared across the three lines of inks. Here you can see that Brilliance and Delicata has more similar tones, and the Encore one has like a slightly different tone compared to the other two. In terms of the finish, you can also see that Brilliance and Delicata are more like the loud shimmer. They're like the ones with the bigger sparkles, and Encore ones are like the more metallic, smooth finish. For the last portion of this video, I'd also like to mention that you can almost always get really good results when you're stamping metallic inks or shimmery ink pads on black paper. Here are just kind of like the examples for gold. Some of the colors though, they might show up lighter. So here you can see that blue ones appears more like whitish and more silvery. So that will be the video for today. Hopefully it kind of shows you the differences between the three different kinds of shimmery ink pads, and I hope the swatching portion helped you decide which colors you want to pick when you're trying to purchase like different colors of inks. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. If you have any questions, you could also leave it in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!